All right, what's up, dudes? Welcome back. I'm Tom P. I'm your host. Today we're talking about, I don't know, single speed 101. This is basically everything I know about single speeding, and this may be the first of several single speed videos. I'll definitely do a separate, more geeked out, as geeky as I get anyway, version of single speed gearing discussion. That's a whole nother topic, for another day, for a whole nother day. You could also call this one single speed for dummies, or more accurately, single speed by dummy. What's the main stuff about single speed? So they're simple. You have, one chain ring, one cog. Don't get me started on zip ties, dude. That's what a single speed is. And you end up pushing an effectively much bigger gear than you would on your geared bike. I mean, unless you're a freak. If you compare the gearing, much higher gear. So you're just by default gonna go faster. And for some reason, I think it's magic, it just feels easier than that respective gear would be on your geared bike. And I mean, so it's simple, there's less to wear down, so it ends up being cheaper. You're not replacing an Eagle cassette or whatever. It's a cog, it's a chain ring. They last for a really freaking long time. I mean, one thing is that, it's a forced workout. So I tend to, if I just ride my trail bike, I tend to progressively get slower because the single speed just forces you to work harder. You're gonna go harder up the hills, you're gonna spin faster to keep up with your friends. That said, when people get into single speeding, if you let your fitness go, if you take weeks or months off the bike, or you're just getting into it, maybe not the best bike, because you're gonna be putting stress on your body in a way that you wouldn't be on a geared bike, and you could hurt yourself. So if you're gonna ride bikes all the time, or you're already very strong, from the gym or whatever, go nuts, get a single speed. But if you're just getting into it, maybe not the best bet. Single speeds do put unique stress on your body. It's a lot more pulling, a lot of force on your individual legs while you're pulling across your body. And it's it's something that if you're not prepped for it, you could, throw your back out, you could hurt your knees. Get some tennis elbow, I don't know. I've got tennis elbow and I don't even play tennis. Yeah, they can be quieter unless you have an i9 Hydra hub like I do, and it sounds like a bunch of murder hornets chasing you, which is good for motivation, makes you go faster. I don't mind it, but they can generally be quieter. There's less slapping around. There's fewer cables. There isn't a chain and a derailleur, or sorry, there is a chain, but there isn't a loose chain and a derailleur and guides and all this stuff, slapping around. So quieter. The ass end of your bike is lighter by default. So that's something I notice when I go between my two bikes, is when I go to hop up onto something, hop a log, hop up onto a wall or a ledge or something, or just bunny hop in general, that back end just pops right up. Yeah, so also generally more durable. I like to, after, we have these New England storms where the branches ice up and there's tons of branches and deadfall all over the place. That's when you're ripping your derailleur off, and derailleurs are so freaking expensive these days. So I will default to riding the single speed after storms. Or another major thing is the way it changes your riding style, unless you're already just a freaking ninja and you do this intuitively. It forces you to read the trail better and look ahead, which I'd say, like, I've been doing this for 30 years. The thing I screw up the most is just not looking far enough ahead. Whether it's in a fast section or a slow technical climb, I don't know, it's because I'm like a freaking hunchback, but I tend to look right in front of me. I think most people default to that. They tend to look too close in front of them, where they need to be looking ahead and planning and not worrying about what their wheel is on right now. So with a single speed, you don't get second chances, especially on a steep technical climb. You need to use momentum and, find the smoothest, fastest way through something. So it forces you to read trail better, and it forces you to use momentum. And it's amazing what you actually can get up on the single speed. Like when you see, an uphill coming, you got to go as fast as you can into it, and then you're gonna, ride up as far as you can, and then you're gonna stand, and then, so you need to kind of plan ahead for that and get as much momentum going into it. So it actually, like, if you're trying to be faster, it teaches you to just be faster. Like you have to be faster, or you're gonna have to get off and walk. So speaking of walking, so I mean, one thing, I guess another basic thing is if you're getting into single speeds, you need to adapt or you're gonna hurt yourself. Again, there are amazing people who don't need to worry about any of this stuff. So if you're an amazing person, you know, just check out and go watch another video. To avoid injury when you're getting into single speeds, I mean, it's good to run a slightly lower gear until you kind of get your bearings with that and get, you know, an idea of what gears work for you and your terrain. We all ride different terrain. I mean, a lot of us ride the same terrain, but there's, you know, there's places that are hilly, there's places that are more technical, there's places that are flat and fast, or the climbs have nice gradients. It's all different. You start with a low gear, and then you just need to know when to fold them. Like you need to know when to get off and walk. I mean, walking is just part of mountain biking. That's probably another video as well. Like there's just no shame in walking. Like if you can't ride something, and there's stuff I'll ride on one day, I'll walk it on a different day. I'll ride with better riders, I'll have to walk. But on a single speed, walking is just part of the game. But yeah, but that's gonna save your knees. Like if you're just really, I mean, occasionally it's okay to like push that hard, but you just don't wanna be in that zone a ton. I mean, you're just gonna blow yourself apart. So, especially as you're adapting, it's just really good to get off and walk, and everybody does it and it's fine, and often it's just as fast. I guess that's another basic thing about single speeding is kind of the effective gears. Like it actually does have like different, I wouldn't call them gears, but modes. So you have like regular seated, you know, you're seated climbing, you know, just nice and comfortable, you're spinning. And I mean, it's what you're doing on the flats, and actually, well, so spinning fast on flats, you're probably gonna shift a little bit forward on your saddle. Yeah, so there's the slide forward when you're going fast and you've like maxed out your gear. And then you have the pulse. That's like when you've basically exhausted your gear, you're going too fast for the gear, and you're pulsing like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Or is it 1, 2, 3, 4? 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5? I don't know. Anyway, you have to try it. So it's basically a pulse and then coast, like tuck and coast, you know? And so that way you're not just like bouncing around trying to stay on top of this gear. So you kind of just coast, pulse, and that's on like the fast end, okay? And then, you know, a lot of times you're just gonna be like center on your saddle, just nice and normal. And then as you start to go up more of a gradient or you're tiring your muscles out, you can slide back a little, get a little bit more leverage that way, use a little bit different muscles. And you're gonna start like lowering and pulling more, you know, with your arms, with your lats, you know, and then there's like a low, like hover, you know, and that, it's, you know, there's kind of a low out of the saddle. You're kind of like lowering your chest, but you know, it might be like a traction thing too, but it's kind of, you're not fully committed to standing yet. And then there's like the, you know, centered stand, and then there's like the, I'm kind of humping my stem, kind of like thing when you get to like up to the top of a steep thing, you know, or you're just trying to push through a steep section. And that's not when you want your chain to break. That would be bad. You're gonna take a massive nut shot. Those are kind of like the different modes. And oh, that leads me to ratcheting. So ratcheting is something we can all do. I mean, you're not gonna do it if you're not riding technical terrain, but it's basically when I had to think about it, why single speeds taught me how to ratchet. So ratcheting is basically, you know, you're not doing a full pedal stroke. Ratcheting, you're going like this. And it's something that, you know, riders who ride technical stuff with lots of rocks and, you know, they might pedal strike, sometimes they'll just do it for timing. But the reason why a single speeder has to do it is because you're effectively pushing, you know, you're basically in like, if you have a Shimano drivetrain, or I mean, it's probably similar in SRAM, but you're in like I'm in like 7th or 8th gear. I mean, like some of the gears I ride are slightly lower, slightly higher, but it's pretty far down your cassette. And so think about trying to get up a climb or go through a technical section slowly, and you're in that huge gear, and sometimes you just don't, you know, you don't have enough juice to turn that crank all the way over. And so I think sometimes you're just using like part of the gear and kind of like lunging forward. I don't think I taught myself this. I don't think anyone told me about this. It's just a thing that kind of naturally happens. Definitely separate video on gearing, but I'd say for a static gear, dude, just off the top of my head, 3220 or an equivalent. That's gonna be good for, you know, most people just getting into it. You know, it's kind of, that's a gear that people that live in, you know, strong people in hilly areas will ride. I mean, some guys push a lot bigger gear. I use 3220 if I'm going to Vermont. I use 3220 if I'm riding techie stuff. Yeah, and another thing on gearing is just, I mean, and in general in life, don't listen to people. Don't listen to me. You know, if people tell you what gear you should run, that is like the definition of, you know, a subjective thing. It's like telling you that pizza is better than cheeseburgers, you know, which, you know, vegans don't get to be in that discussion, but it's all relative, you know. And so if you feel like a gear is hurting you, then go with a different gear. Or if you always feel spun out, it's always too easy, go with a bigger gear. I mean, you got to kind of get into it and then figure it out. You know, and just, I mean, listen to your knees, not other people. And if your knees are screaming, help me, then, you know, listen to them and get a lower gear or walk more. When you first get on the single speed, and sometimes when I first get back on the single speed, if I've been off it, you have a certain perception. You look at a hill, you know, or a technical thing, and you go, no way, can't do it. And you'll learn, like, sometimes, like, there'll be like a little bit of a disconnect between, you know, your single speed eyes and your single speed body, or vice versa, where sometimes you'll be like, I can make that, and then you absolutely can't. Or you'll be like, I can't make it, and then you make it, and then you're like, wow, that's amazing, and that just means you're kind of adapting to it. You know, all these like weird connections in your body that are you need for single speed are starting to happen, and you're getting stronger and better. Yeah, I think after you've been on the single speed for, you know, you give yourself a few weeks, 4 weeks, 8 weeks, whatever, you'll be surprised at what you'll be able to do on a single speed. And then I think you'll also be surprised when you go back to your geared bike, how much faster you feel and better you feel on the geared bike. Single speeding can definitely be a little bit of a handicap in situations. You know, you get spun out, you can get ground out where you can't climb up something. But it can also be like Daredevil, where your disability becomes your superpower, because, you know, you're forced to go easy in situations where you might otherwise go hard. I think that was something that made me faster on the single speed. I was just too stupid, and I would just go fast where I didn't need to, and then have no energy for the hard stuff. But then, you know, if you're spun out in the flats and the easy stuff, and then you get to the technical stuff for the climbs, all of a sudden you got plenty of gear and you can rocket past the geared riders. All right, guys, so I know that's a lot, but if you're interested in getting the single speeds, I think that covers a lot of it. Hit me up with questions. I'm sure I'm gonna get some pretty freaking amazing wise ass questions from like real single speeders. But yeah, if you got other questions, I am planning a gearing video and then a single speed hardcore workout video where I'm gonna really embarrass myself. So in summary, get a single speed if you want. If you don't want to, don't get one. But I think it helps, you know, dumb people get faster, like myself. And it's, you know, it's generally a cheaper bike, and you know, it's a more durable bike. And it's one of those things where, you know, people do hate on them for some reason. I don't know, but I think it's, you know, if you've ridden one and you've kind of adapted to it, then you're always going to want to ride one. Once I started riding them, I never stopped riding them. I personally enjoy it. I don't know if you will too. Single speeds will make you a better, stronger, faster rider. Maybe. I don't know. All right, I think that's about enough for now, but you know, I'm gonna go ride my bike. You should do the same, or, you know, get a pizza and watch Netflix. I don't really care. All right, see you later.